we need more people like that in the industry. That's the problem, is that no one's targeting the bullshit. Everyone plays the same card, plays the same game, plays the nice, you know, um, the nice guy. When you need to be real, you need to be real with the consumer. You need to be real with where they're coming from. And if someone comes in and they came from good training, I'll be the first one to say, hey, that makes sense. Okay, maybe we can tweak this, tweak that. I've had people sit in that chair that get trained by other people and come in to talk to me and show me, their programming, their nutrition, talk about what their coach has been doing with them, things like that, just to get that second opinion. I've had no problem doing that and helping those people out. But I'll be out front with them and I'll tell them if I see this or that, lacking here, lacking there, well, your diet could be a little different based on what you're doing, or, oh, I'm feeling this way, lethargic, I'm tired all the time, this and that. Well, your sleep needs adjusted, something in your recovery is not right, or your food. If all those are accounted for, maybe your food's not right, maybe you need to give that feedback back to your coach. If you're giving that feedback to your coach, then your coach is doing something wrong. As far as just people, how do I say it? People need to hear the truth and the right feedback from the right people. There's too many coaches trying to hold the hands of their athletes and pat them on the butt every time they do something great, but they won't. But I mean, in a nutshell, that's what they're doing. Telling them how awesome they are, this and that. That's all well and good, but just as people who helped me out, the first thing that got told to me was, I'm not here to tell you how great you are. That's what everyone else does, and that's kind of what I do when I coach. Sure, I praise my athletes when they do great things, or once in a while you have to give them some kind of encouragement, obviously. But I don't sit there every day and tell them how great they are and how awesome they are, and you're just, you made it already. No, why would you do that? Because if you're not expecting perfection from your athlete, they're never going to get better. They'll reach that low level or that low moderate level, where they're an intermediate lifter or an intermediate, bodybuilder, just intermediate in general. Let's put it that way. And they'll never reach elite level. They'll never reach being great. I'm not saying you need to be the best in the world, but if you're trying to be the best, or you're trying to become elite, or you're trying to, just better your life all around, then you should expect the best. You want to go to your job and half-ass it there. You know what I mean? But expect to be the CEO one day. It doesn't work that way. But people expect that with their fitness sometimes. And again, you're going to continue to always suck. If that is your mindset, that I'm okay with being average and my coach, is still telling me I'm doing great, and you're in a gym or an area where people are telling you that constantly, you're never going to get better. You have to go where people are better than you, where the coaching's better, where everyone's not telling you how awesome you did today and great job. No. And if you expect to get better, you need to get away from that. If you have a coach like that, you need to get away from that coach, because that's not their job. Their job isn't to tell you, if it's some boot camp down the road, or if it's an elderly people class, or whatever. I've done those things, okay, and that's a different kind of encouragement. But when it's athletes, sometimes you need to find that coach that's going to be a little harder on you and expect more from you. And most of my clients, that's what they love. That's why they're around. That's because they want that style of coaching. But you get plenty of people that kind of talk a big game, and they want to be great. They want to post online about, oh, I did this workout today, man. Whatever motivational speech they want to give on Instagram. But they don't realize that they're a big fish, or a semi-decent fish in a puddle. Not even a pond, in a puddle. That's realistically where you're at. You need to go find the big lake. You need to find the ocean, and that's where you should be training. You should expect to be a bigger fish in that kind of platform. So, and just from a coaching standpoint, what we try to do, here that's different from everywhere else, is that we're trying to get everyone that is a competitor, let's say, to that elite level. Doesn't matter if you're bodybuilding, weightlifting, powerlifting, if you come in for CrossFit programming, whatever, we're going to try to get you to that elite level. If you don't want to be there, sure, we can get you started. We can get you better, obviously, but ultimately it's up to you whether you want to be there or not. We'll keep programming. We'll keep, running your nutrition. We'll put you where you need to be as long as you're willing to do it. Minus some genetic factors and, age, things like that, injuries, but if they're willing to put in the work, they'll get there.
What does that look like, though, when you say put in the work?
Put in the work, it doesn't mean you need to come in every day and just destroy yourself. A lot of people think that, yes, you need to work hard. Yes, you should be sore a lot. Not I can't walk from my car to the door sore every day. That's the wrong kind of sore, but you need to feel like you did something. But if you're showing up and just simply doing the work, your coach should have you programmed where you are, how do I say it? Where you're getting your times where you're recovered, where you're getting pushed, and they should know those fatigue management protocols to run your programming that way. If they, we have, I've had so many people come in here that just when we start talking about, the SRA curve or, just fatigue management in general and how it should look in your program, they don't have a clue because all they know is go, 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 gas pedal to the floor, max effort weights all the time, and that's not how your program should be periodized. You shouldn't be trying to find heavy sets every single week. You shouldn't be getting put into the ground every single workout session. High intense training, there's a time to down that, and there's a time to go, depending on, again, what you're doing. You look at the functional fitness model, let's call it that, so we don't have to say that brand name. You look at, a lot of the programming is, gas pedal all the time, full go, when the best athletes in the world aren't doing that. They're not periodized that way year round. They have their times where they push hard, they have their times where they lift heavy, they have their times when they're working on, skill portions a little more. A lot of stuff is intervaled. It's not, constant, let's run 15 minutes, 20 minutes straight all the time. Okay, maybe we cut down and we're only running a 3 to 5 minute, but it's full send the whole time. You see a lot of these gyms and coaches that want to program that and think that's going to get your athlete somewhere, and it's not. Especially as you get better. The better you get, the more you need to recover. And a lot of them don't understand that. So take an elite level lifter, for example. Their recovery, and especially generally they're going to be starting to get into the upper weight classes. They've been around a while, built muscle, things like that. They're going to need more recovery time than some beginner athlete who's just simply not lifting the weights that these people are capable of, doesn't have as much muscle mass. Generally by then, if you're working with the right people, you should be eating more too. So hopefully that's going to kind of help, but at the same time, your fatigue management is actually what most people can't do. So they'll come in, they can't hit weights all of a sudden, or they do get injured. Besides some of the freak accidents, but the people that are getting constantly injured, we might dip into a whole thing with dealing with biomechanics. There's people that just aren't built right, and they've had life issues. They've had pre-existing injuries. That's something different. But if you're someone that's constantly getting tweaked, you're probably lifting too heavy too often, and not your fatigue management with your sleep, your food. Something is off. Lifting too heavy all the time, whatever. Same thing again on, let's call it the functional side of things. You get people that are damn near adrenal fatigue because they've been pushed and pushed and pushed and not fed, their sleeping's probably starting to get thrown off, their rhythms, just their clock, let's call it, is just so out of whack that they end up getting adrenal fatigue or damn near. And we've had plenty of people that come in from that say, I'm dead, I'm tired, I can't, and they've been doing it 4 or 5 years, they just can't keep pushing like that. So, where we go back to the fatigue management side, we have to be the coaches that tell them, slow down. We have to tell them, not pat them and say, okay, good, you're in the puddle today. Hey, okay, let's you know what I mean? Let's push those weights harder. No, you need to step in and tell them to back off. So if you don't have a coach that's going to, one, hold you accountable, but then also tell you when to pump the brakes, it's not a good coach, flat out. And I think so many people are caught up in, one, the pats on the butt, but then two, from that point of view, they're just caught up in basically their coach isn't coaching them. Their coach is kind of letting them do whatever they want. So again, if you want to get better, if you don't want to continue to suck, you're going to have to go out and find that. You're going to have to go out and find better. Now, I know Dan just did an article on this too, and he talked about coach hopping or program hopping or whatever it was. That's not always the best thing either. It's not always best to go, okay, well, I tried that coach for 3 months, didn't get what I wanted, go to this one, go to this one, go to this one. Soon, 2 years down the line, no one has gotten you much better because you have to allow the coach some time. You have to give them time to find, how you work, what's homeostasis for you, and then figure out your programming, figure out your nutrition. And that's what I see usually. That's why I require people 3 months minimum commitment with me, because it takes a little while to start figuring some things out and stuff like that. The longer I work with you, I'm learning from your body constantly and learning from you constantly and getting this feedback. So generally, the people that see the greatest gain with me, it's getting past that 1 year mark where we've been at it, and it's just, now it's just fine tuning along the way, and we just keep rising. The people that are with me the longest, they always get better. They always look the same. Everyone does the same thing. They always eat more. They always get stronger, and they always they always change their mindset. So they might come in here timid, or smiley person that's just great all the time. Everything, life's perfect, and they're they don't really find that checkout point to where, okay, it's time to lift this weight, or okay, I need to push hard to get to that stage or whatever. They usually don't find that mindset for a little while, but when they do, that's kind of what I try to instill into them. Now, I don't go all drill instructor off the start, we need to harden you up, but over time you start to build them and help build that mentality. And as they get better, and if they like to be coached that way, now you start pushing them a little bit, and their mindset's created then. So you got people that, and it doesn't matter what they come in for, it's always the same thing. They always, like I said, they eat more, they get leaner, they build muscle, they get stronger. It's always the same thing. It doesn't matter if they're a bodybuilder, a powerlifter, a general fitness person, whether it's a CrossFitter, whether, it doesn't matter. The Olympic lifters I've worked with in the past, thank God I have Dan Bell now, so he can, handle that. But, the people I've worked with in the past, it's always the same thing, consistent. And I'm not saying that those people are, out breaking world records or, they're going to guarantee to be the best. No. But what they've come in from, and the coaches, the gyms, the whatever, or, some of these people never really touched a weight in their life when they started working with me. Those people, especially that left other places, decide one day, like, I need better coaching, and that's what's happening now. It's not really the beginner that's coming in, it's people coming in there realizing that they need better coaching and they need to take that next step up. And that's the most common email we get is, I'm ready to take the next step up, or I've been lifting for this many years, I think it's time I get a coach, or whatever, I need a change of pace, I need a change of coaching, I need a change of scenery, whatever. So those people have kind of made that conscious decision, like, I'm not going to continue to suck. And they go after the better coaching. They go after what they should have been achieving years ago. A lot of times, that's the sad part, is that some of these people that come in, they could have been there 2-3 years ago. They just don't realize it, and that's what's sad to see now, is we see all these people that are out of their prime, that if they just had the coaching they needed and the mindset they needed 3-4 years ago, who knows what level they could be at. You know, and I know me and Dan have talked about it. I mean, there's people that have missed out on being national level lifters because they couldn't, you know, put their ego aside. They couldn't, you know, whatever. They just didn't commit to the program, or they coach hopped, or you know, whatever. Is what it is. I mean, in that case, I mean, if you can't, you know, show up, do the work, you know, check your ego, listen to your coach, then you're not meant to be great anyway. But what I get sad about is watching the consumers that get ripped off basically because they don't want to leave this trainer, that trainer, this gym, you know, for whatever reason. You know, and if you're always going to think that way again, you're never going to get better. If you can't, you know, we've heard it all from people. I've had people sit here worried about like, well, I don't know how people are going to react if I leave. I mean, who cares how people are going to react?
Yeah.
I mean, it's your life, it's your fitness, it's your goals, and if they're with you, they're with you. If they're not, then let them be against you. I mean, they weren't there from the beginning anyway. But you know, if these people want to get better, they have to seek it out. And I'm not even just saying come here, but just in general. And we see it. I've seen it all over the place. You know, we have lifters in other states that have came from other coaches in those other states, or people that I was in the military with that I watch them getting into things now, or got into, you know, lifting or whatever a few years ago, and I'll see what their coach is giving them, and I've watched their progression, and some have found really good coaches, but other ones it's hard to not say, hey, you know, because I'm not the trolling type where I'm going to just go in and let them know, but like, hey, you have to seek out something better, because that's not it, you know, and that's the hard part to watch. But until people again want to make the conscious decision to get better, you're not going to get better.
What about if you have, let's say, a high school athlete or college athlete, where they do want to get better, they have a mindset where they want to come in and they want to work, but let's say the parent is the obstacle. How do you have that conversation with them?
Usually the only thing I've seen before with parents being really the obstacle is just lack of time, you know, being able to drive the kid. Maybe, you know, they're from 35-40 minutes away. You know, you're looking at the parent making an hour plus round trip, hour and a half round trip, you know, that kind of stuff. I understand. We've had it, but we rarely have it, especially if they've been to other places where it might be a money factor with the family, but we don't really get that if they've shopped around, because we're usually, in almost all cases, going to be lower than other people, especially the ones that, you know, specifically target sports performance. Yeah, I'm going to keep quoting that. Yeah, a lot of those gyms are they're just not up to par, let's say. But usually it's not a problem with the parents. It's always drive, and that's usually what they want to worry about is drive, money, and then what are you going to do for my kid? The good thing about what are you going to do for my kids, we have so many examples of, you know, Division I, Division II, high school and collegiate athletes that we've helped, that we can give them, you know, this guy came in, this girl came in at, you know, this body weight, here's the weights they lifted, here was their, you know, whatever times on their agility drills, things like that, and then here's what they did. Or, you know, the guys that go to these junior, senior combines before college, we could show them, this is what they did as a junior, this is what they did as a senior from a year with us. So we're able to show them data on what we've done with people. So, yeah.
All right, I have to ask. So with all the quotes around sports performance,
Mhm.
if you were to, let's say I'm the parent and I'm coming in and you were to explain to me, because I have gone to other places, and I say, all right, what is the difference? How do you start that conversation with them where you say, like, scientifically,
Yeah.
logically,
Yeah.
here's the difference
We-
between sports performance at
we-
another place and what
We
we can actually
generally
do?
start talking about, I'll start talking about what they do there because I've already seen it.
Okay.
I'll talk about, you know, you guys are running a lot, doing a lot of drills, agility drills, skill drills. You know, and I'll maybe even point a few out that I've seen. And I say we don't do any of that here. And if we do, it's during a specific period, pre or post season or, you know, whatever our periodization calls for. I'll talk about their lifting, and I will kind of give the scientific facts on like this is why we lift this way.
Mhm.
And what we find is that a lot of them don't program correctly and don't lift correctly. The technique is a whole other thing because we generally never get a kid in that has good technique, and I mean, you know, we're talking squats that are 5-6 inches high or knee bending. They're Olympic lifts. We don't expect them to be great at them. I mean, that's kind of expected when you're going through high school if you haven't had access to a quality coach.
Mhm.
But, you know, I feel that especially if you're going to sports performance, you should kind of have someone in there that really knows those lifts and can teach them well. It's one thing to be able to spit out how to do them in a way, but you need to be able to correct them, and you need to be able to, you know, anyone can read the manual on a clean and be like, well, this is what this book says, you know, and you should be able to break that down and correct the issues pretty quickly. But as far as like a squat, a bench, a deadlift, you know, how these kids run, that should all that should be second nature to these coaches. You're a strength coach. We should never have a kid that walks in here that's lifting that way, especially if they've been to a sports performance facility. If it's just high school sports and they're getting taught by their math teacher, their English teacher, okay, it's expected. I'm sure a lot of us lifted that way-ish when we were younger. But that's what we start to break down, you know, again with these parents and stuff, is that in here we don't do that. We won't allow them to do that. You know, and it doesn't matter if we have, you know, a small, well, I shouldn't call them all small, but, you know, a running back or something, or a lineman. I mean, you're still going to move. You know, we've had guys in here, and over the summer, you've seen it, 6'6",
Yep.
you know, close to 300 pounds, and the kid can take a squat down. Is he always, you know, getting down there perfect? No, I mean, it's always going to be a learning process, but it's a hell of a lot better than when he came in. We actually had to bring his weight way down to bring him back up again. I think we've added like something like 250 pounds to his squat in a full squat over the course of 2 years because, well, it was basically a year and a half because he has a season and all that stuff. So we had to work with him in spurts. But first thing we do is set those patterns in. We go on technique. We're not worried about, and that's what's sad when we only have sometimes 10 weeks with these kids. I mean, I'm not going to load a bar up because your kid can put 500 pounds on their back and knee bend. I'm not going to do that. They're going to lower their weight and they're going to go full range. There's just, I'm not going to risk them injuring themselves. I'm not going to let them keep learning wrong. They're going to build more muscle anyway going full range. And again, we're all built different, so you're not going to be 6'6" doing generally doing Olympic style high bar squats and, you know, where your ass is touching your ankles. It's not always going to be that way, no. But you at least need to be breaking parallel, no matter what you're doing. So.
I want to phrase it. For the athletes that come in, whether that's older population, high school, collegiate, any of the different groups that you talked about, was it hard from the coaching standpoint to get to where you could let people go when you recognize they didn't have the right mindset? Even if it's the parent or the athlete themselves, when they come in and you say, look, this is what's going to happen. we're going to regress on the weight so we can fix it, or we're going to fix your eating, or you're not allowed to do high intensity and run yourself into the ground. And they're like, well, you know, this is what I've been doing, this is what I like, this is what I think is going to make me better. Then you say, like, this is how we do it.
Well,
And they decide that they're going to go somewhere else, or they're even going to like hold it over you that they're going to
Yeah.
go somewhere else. Did it take a while before you were able to just accept that and let them go?
we've never really had anyone come in, you know, say something like that and leave. What we have had is we've had kids who come in with, you know, my D1 college strength,
Yeah.
you know, coach, this is what he wrote up for the summer. I got to do this, you know. And I usually take them and I throw them in the trash because they're garbage. They are. I show them the things that are wrong with them. I say, this is why you're not doing that.
Okay.
And I throw them in the trash, and we don't do that. I have had one kid, I think ever, that, you know, he trained with us and then he wanted to do his, he came back second year of college, wanted to do his, what, you know, the other kids are doing, their strength program that they have up there and all that. And my, you know, my basic thing to him was, you know, I'd gladly take a look at it if you want me to. I probably won't agree with it. I don't agree with, you know, and they've asked me things before, like, you know, can I superset these things? Hey, can I run a little, my stuff a little faster, this and that. And I have to take, you gotta remember, we're dealing with 19, 20-year-old kids normally. You have to kind of tell them, like, this is why we do these things this way. I know you're used to this, but this is what science says of why we're doing it. And there are times we do superset things. I'm not going to say we never do, or we do run at a little faster pace. But we get kids in here that want to do, you know, it's heavy squat day, and they're trying to walk back up to the bar a minute later. Like, sit down, you know, take your time. So I basically what again when I said to that kid is like I'm not going to agree with it. You know, with necessarily what you're doing. I told him flat out, I don't think it's the best for you long term, but it's your goals, and that's all you can say to them. It's their life, their goals. I can't, you know, I can give them and mentor them the best I can based on my experiences. One as an athlete, but then also as a coach. But if they're just going to do their thing, do your thing. You know, just don't be surprised. Again, not in his case. We you know. I don't know really the outcome of that.
Yeah.
But I have seen where other people, you know, have came in or wanted to try a program. And this happens with, you know, all of our coaches. It's happened with any trainer that's been out there, a coach, where someone might come in for a little bit and be like, well, you know, they're freaking out. I'm not seeing what I want to see, or I'm not seeing, you know, this and that. And they're just kind of delusional in what they want to see right away sometimes. But other times it is, well, I think this is better for me. It's not. I mean, I know the science behind this.
Yeah.
It's not better for you. You just enjoy it more because this might be a little bit harder. Normally that's the case. Or two, they, for whatever reason, let's say they love boot camps or something, or they love yoga class, or I guess yoga class is a little different because it's more auxiliary, but, you know, whatever. Let's say they love some sort of group low intensity thing, or you know, whatever. You know, we might try to introduce them to like lifting, slowing it down a little bit. Let's build some muscle on the body. We'll throw the cardio in and do these other things. But hey, they just like working out in a group of 40. You know, sometimes it is about what you enjoy and what you want to do, and that's a whole different topic. That's a whole different genre. I'm not saying that we can't get you better ultimately, because we can, but if that's what you like to do, that's what you like to do. And we're not going to take someone and be like, you have to individually lift by yourself, you know, and you can't do anything in a group. You know, we're not going to do that if you don't enjoy it. Well, that's also why we have a group thing. So, you know, it's.
The reason I ask that is because having worked at other gyms, having watched other coaches, other trainers, there's, I don't want to say lack of compromise, but you'll see a lot of coaches or business owners bend to what the person wants in order to keep that client. And yet you've been able to retain a high number of people that you work with. while not compromising what you know to be true.
Yep.
And it's a striking difference between those two styles of coaching or styles of business owning. And it's just wondering if, like, what the process was of being able to communicate that with people, and, you know, is that a process that was difficult to learn, or was it just something that you were able to recognize how to communicate it the best way?
Yeah, I think, and there's going to always be a hard case or two where you kind of have to keep, reiterating your style at first, reiterating why you're doing things. I think it's just because I've worked with so many different type of people in so many areas of fitness. I always tell people when I have consults with them, especially if they're a general fitness person, which I take on some here and there depending on kind of how serious they are. But I mean, you probably couldn't sit here and say a goal or a type of person that I haven't worked with at this point.
Okay.
I'm sure we could find someone somewhere or something, but I think just working with that many different type of people, I'm just kind of good at getting through to them, and knowing when to start pushing and when to, kind of back down or handle them a little bit differently. But for the most part, I think it's just the results that once they start seeing the results, it starts turning to this thing where it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter what I say. I can tell them, like, hey, go outside, eat all the grass in the front lawn, and you'll be shredded and jacked. And, do you know what I mean? I could almost say anything, and they'd probably do it because they trust the process of me coaching them from the results they're getting. And I'll tell people sometimes months ahead of time what's going to happen to them, and then when it happens, they remember that conversation.
Okay.
And they're like, and that's kind of the light bulb turns on, like, or I'll tell someone with their lifting, like, and I'll tell them exactly what's going to happen. My favorite are the transformations where I'll look at someone and I'll look at their check-in and I'll tell them, wait about another 8 to 12 weeks, here's what's going to happen. And I'll start telling them where you're going to chisel away from, how it's going to build, things like that. And it's like, that's what it is sometimes, just chiseling away at them. And then they form, their picture check-in comes in, they're like, remember what I said 3 months ago? There you go. So, it's just trust factor. Once you start seeing results, you're going to trust what you're doing. It's like anything else.